afternoon, everyone. You're listening to My Conscious Dad right here on your hometown station, KHTS. I'm your host, Jazmine Urbina, here in the studio today with my dad and co-host, Alex Urbina. And today we are going to be talking about personal power. That being said, what is personal power?
Personal power is all about perspective shifting. And I always say that he or she who figures out how to master the ability to shift their perspective in multiple scenarios wins ultimately in life. Because what personal power is not is being able to control anything outside of us. I think for me, for the first time in my life, when I finally realized that I can't control anything outside of my life, outside of me, was the moment that I woke up and realized that personal power really is everything about me. 100% about me, my perception, my interpretations, my choices, my actions, everything about me. So that was the biggest wake-up call that I ever had in my life, and I'm still today figuring out how to master that. And so I'm on a conscious journey every day, mindful of figuring out how to keep shifting my perspectives in all different scenarios in life. So the classic example I like to give is you and I are standing somewhere and a certain event unfolds in front of us. And you have a certain perception of what you saw happen, and I have a certain perception of what I saw, what happens. And for you, whatever the way that you interpret it is real for you. So you might choose to see it a certain way, like whatever happened was rude, and then you get offended, and then from being offended, you make a certain choice. For me, I have the same option to choose to see it as being rude, but because I've worked on how I can perceive multiple different ways, or I'm open to new possibilities, I can choose a different perception that's more empowering. Therefore, I don't have the same experience that you have, where you got hurt or you took it personal, or now you're mad and angry and you hold on to it for the next couple of days.
Yeah, for me, it's funny that you have a different perception of what personal power is, because when I first was trying to, put my thoughts together and think, okay, well, what is personal power to me? I was thinking more of like on the self-control side, more like, do I really want to eat that donut today? You have self-control to make that decision, but it is consciously making decisions, like you were saying. But a lot of the times when I feel like I need to have more personal power or be more confident in myself, it's usually when I'm working towards some type of self-control, staying on track to make sure I reach a goal, staying on track so I don't fall off, So for me, like I said, self-control was the one that came up first.
Yeah. And even at self-control, if you slice that down and get underneath it, if you start digging at the roots, it still starts with perception. Your perception is everything. And I don't think, and I know you could probably see stuff like that written on bumper stickers and people quote it on Facebook and everyone's, posting all these powerful quotes. But perception really is at the core of everything. And you hear it in different books. People write, they'll say stuff like stinking thinking, or change your mind, or change the way you see it, and then your life changes or your world changes. So it all starts with the way that you see the world. So I want to paint this picture. So when you were a baby and you were born, those filters in your eyeballs that you perceive the world is you're looking from a clear filter, and you're seeing the world as a loving, giving, caring, beautiful world. And as you start growing up through age 3, 5, 7, 12, you start experiencing certain things that aren't so favorable. You get your feelings hurt. You get hurt, or you get let down. And so now you start creating these beliefs. And these negative beliefs, whether they're personal beliefs or beliefs about the world, now start tainting your perception. It starts clouding the filters at which you look at the world and make your interpretations. And so we don't realize that we're walking around with these lenses or glasses that which we look through and perceive what's happening in our life. And it's not until you find yourself on a journey where somebody can mentor you or coach you to help you look at some of those limiting beliefs, and also have you look at how you're interpreting the world. If you can interpret the world in a more empowering way, you start to feel different. You feel more exciting. You feel more hopeful. You feel more joy, more peace. If your filters which you look through the world are clouded or skewed or tainted or negative, you're going to have a totally different experience than the person to your left or to your right that has worked on that and have really put a lot of conscious effort in cleaning off their filters. So the way I look at it is every day when you go to bed, you take those glasses off and you just clean them throughout the whole day. Every day, 3 or 4 times, you just pull out your little glass and you just keep cleaning those filters. And the unconscious people at a certain point, they stop cleaning and they got layers and layers of dirt on there that you can't see because it's right. You're looking right through it, right past it.
Yeah, I think for me, the last couple of years going through this conscious journey, I have learned this piece of information, and yet I still don't, practice it. Taking off the glasses and metaphorically cleaning them off. Because for me, I know that when I start new projects or new journeys, I can see what it looks like when other people are doing it, when people are making decisions through those filters.
But that's the learning process.
Yeah, and it's really great. Like, for me, I want to paint a picture, and the example is I started this new journey, a process in real estate, and there are a lot of agents who are, really great in trying to help me, through my first couple transactions, and there is a lot of baggage that they bring into every single new transaction from the past. Times they got burned, times they got in trouble, and they want to prevent that so much that they're bringing those filters in, and I can see it and I can see what it looks like, and sometimes I want to tell them, you need to take a step back. This is not the same thing that happened before.
That's awesome.
And
do they look at you weird, like, where'd you come from?
No, they look at me like, no, you have no idea. Maybe.
Oh, okay. You're still new. Yeah.
Yeah. But I would love to be able to get to their point and be able to leave that stuff in the past, have it in the back of my mind, and only bring it to play when that situation starts to unfold.
Now, what I would love is for you to let's have the same conversation 30 years from now when you're a successful real estate agent and I can go, hey, remember 30 years ago we had a conversation on the air, and I'll replay the video for you when you were fresh and new and you didn't have a history or a past of being burnt or deals not closing or stuff dropping out, a day from you getting paid or whatever it is, or closing a deal or helping a family. And can you still be that same fresh rookie, that same brand new, open to all possibilities and still all trusting and still believing and having hope and faith and all that, still 30 years after being jilted and working with shady people? Can you still operate from that place at a conscious level?
Yeah, you know what? Because I'm so grateful for that experience, because I can see what I look like when I'm bringing baggage into other scenarios and what other people are seeing me as. And I don't want to make it sound bad, but those people, it was almost neurotic. It was like, don't do that because this is going to happen. And I'm sitting there like there's no evidence whatsoever that this will ever happen, but okay. So, and I trust the process.
Yeah.
But I don't want anybody to ever think that about me. So it was such a great experience just to see it. And it's not just one person. It's pretty, everybody.
But that's what this conscious journey is about. It's about recognizing people. Like, there's a lot of times I'll be interacting with someone, or I'll even just be an observer, and I'll watch somebody lose their temper and they're just going, or they go irate, or they're just, and I look and I go, this is happening in front of me, and this person's here to teach me a lesson. And the lesson is that's what I look like when I lose my temper. That's what I look like when I start panicking. That's what it looks like when I'm operating from fear. That's what it looks like when I can't see a different perception. So people in our lives are there to show us certain versions of ourselves, whether they're the lower level conscious versions of ourselves or even higher versions. When you look at your mentors and you go, I want to be like him, or I want to be like her. I want to develop myself like that. I want to think like that. So people in our life are here to show us different versions of ourselves that we can actually choose to keep evolving and getting to.
Yeah, and you know what? When I say I'm looking at these people and I don't want to be like them, what I mean is I'm
not like them, but like that.
Yes, I'm not looking at it in a judgy way, because I've been there. And like you said, I'm looking at a lower version.
And you might be there tomorrow.
Right. I've been there, and I'm going to keep continuing. I'm going to be there eventually again. And I just want to point out that it's not that I'm judging you or anybody's judging you. It's that I'm identifying with that part of you.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be like that. So
you're saying, the way you're being right now, I too am like that. And you just woke me up to a whole new level of consciousness to say, wow, that's disgusting. I don't want to show up like that. If that's how you choose to be, I'm not judging you for it, because you're in your own journey. It's your own process. But I slowly, every day, don't want to keep showing up like that. I want to learn how to master my own emotions, master my own interpretations, so that I'm empowered and I'm empowering other people.
Yeah, and one thing I want to point out to the parents, and tell a little quick story, is growing up, and you still do this today, growing up, my dad would always, when something would happen in our family, a family member would get into some trouble, people would be talking about them negatively, whatever that looks like, my dad would always say, to me, my brother, my sister, what are you learning? So what are you seeing? And we'd have to sit there and be like, not to be mean to people, not to do this. We'd sit there like,
not to bring your history into.
Yeah, and we'd say it kind of annoyed, but it was unconsciously putting that in our head. Don't do this because X, Y, and Z is going to say this about you. Don't do this because people are going to perceive it this way. So. I can't even name the amount of times you've done that just to me, let alone the three of us. But between all of us, I probably 100% can say that we can hear you saying that in our head sometimes when we're doing certain things. So as a parent, just keep bringing stuff like that up to your kids. Bring that to their attention. Don't brush the family drama and secrets under the rug. Bring it out to the light so that, one, we know what's going on, and two, we know how to act and interact with people in the world.
Now, when I used to do that, that was the certain level of consciousness that I was at, to try to paint a picture for you or give you an opportunity to learn your own lesson from what you were seeing. Now, in hindsight, as you're sharing that with me, I can see now a higher version of me, more evolved. I could have or should have, or moving forward, what I'm going to make a conscious effort to do is, instead of asking you what are you learning from it or what are you seeing, is share what I'm learning. Hey, this is an opportunity where I even get to see that when this happens, or or this is a great example of all the times when I'm doing that. So I think that was a great even learning process, even for me. As you're sharing, I can even figure out how to get it to the next level where I'm not putting it on you. I'm actually sharing and revealing myself. And so as you're giving that advice to parents, I would also attach to be able to have conversations with your kids. And if you find a moment where you can actually teach them, it's a learning lesson. Instead of just asking them how they see it or what's opening from them or what are they learning, but also share what you're learning too. Because I think most common kids, they think that their parents are know-it-alls, and it's probably because as parents we act like that. We don't reveal ourselves. We don't share what we're learning. We don't share our faults. It's like we pretend like we got all the answers. And kids are smart. They know we don't have all the answers, and I think they feel discouraged that we're playing this facade like we got all the answers, and they know we don't, and it's obvious. You can see in our face that we don't have all the answers. So I think just being humble and honest and revealing yourself, I think, is really inspiring to other kids.
Yeah, it's kind of we've talked about this before, but it's kind of that idea that if kids can experience their parents being genuine, authentic, or admitting that sometimes they have fault, your kid's going to be blown away, especially because they're so used to you having it all together. So when you finally admit your faults, or even if you notice, when you apologize, if you're not a parent who apologizes a lot, if you apologize first, your kid, you will see it. You'll see their eyes get big, or you'll see them kind of like...
Or they'll look around for the Canon camera.
Like, where
is
Ashton Kutcher about to put?
Where did my mom go? Because you're not her. You haven't been her for many years.
Right. So imagine what that would look like if, instead of saying, let's say Aunt Susie gets a divorce, instead of saying, see kids, this is why you have to be careful who you marry. Instead of saying something like that, you say, wow, this is a really great learning lesson for me. I'm so grateful that I have your dad. And then walk out of the room, they're going to be like, what the heck?
Or Aunt Susie's showing me a picture of all the times that I should be learning from those lessons. She, some of her faults and some of her shortcomings, I get to recognize those in myself, in my own marriage with your dad, and things that I got to work on. Something like that is, your kids are going to go, where'd you get that from? That's a whole different way of speaking, right? Different way of thinking.
And I think we're so used to, especially in my family, we, the women we're gossipers, the grandmas and the aunts and everyone gets, and moms get together and they kind of gossip. If I would to hear my grandmother or my aunt turn around and say something powerful like that in the middle of that discussion, everyone would look at each other like, but in my head I'd be clapping for her, because you don't expect that from people that you look up to, and when you do get that, it's slowly teaching you. So you got to keep doing and keep doing, and you're going to teach your kids to also interact that way.
I love that. All right, so personal power, number one, it's all about perspective shifting.
We haven't even gotten to number one.
Well, this is number one. It's all about perspective shifting. If you can figure out how to practice the art of shifting your perspective and figuring out how to see it multiple ways. So I want you to visualize that whatever age you're at, you've learned how to see the world 7 different ways. So you're multidimensional. Your perspective is 7 different versions. What if you're able to walk into this magical store and the guy behind the counter has these magical glasses, and you go, what are those? And they go, oh, these are life glasses. Well, what are life glasses? Well, it helps you it helps shift your perspective to see 50 different ways. And you go, how much are those? And, oh, these are $200,000. Can I try those on? Yeah, here you go. And you put them on, and instantly when you put them on, your whole world shifts. You start to feel alive. You start to feel joy and excitement, and you things start tingling in your body. And then as soon as you start to experience that, they pull them off. He pulls them off and goes, yeah, these are $200,000. If you want more, you're gonna have to either put a down payment, or you're gonna have to figure out. Are you gonna figure out how to purchase those glasses? If you got an opportunity to be able to see the world in such an empowering way that you no longer experience pain, you're no longer experiencing anger, being annoyed, all the dysfunctions that we have as human beings that get in the way of creating extraordinary results. Would that be beneficial to you?
Of course.
Now, those glasses don't necessarily cost $200,000. Those glasses are already within you. You just have to figure out how to keep shifting your perspective and cleaning those lenses, so that when you see the world, you see the world in instead of 8 different ways, you're able to see it in 12 different ways, 20 different ways, 50 different ways. And that's the lifelong journey, is how do I keep shifting my perspective such that I can see each scenario in a more empowering way rather than the disempowering way. Because that's what we're doing. We're looking at something that we don't like, we don't agree with, and then we get disempowered. And then we make up a belief about it. That's wrong. That shouldn't be happening. You shouldn't be acting like that. And then we go into the world of should-haves and shouldn'ts. And then we become judgment machines. And then we wonder why there's no joy, no passion, no excitement in your life. It's because the way that you see the world is tainted. And it gets in the way of all the great, amazing life that some of us are hoping to get on the other side. Or, some of us have resigned to, maybe my joys, maybe my beautiful life isn't on this earth, or, in this time, in this lifetime, and all that kind of stuff. No, of course it is. You get an opportunity to figure out how to keep shifting that perspective and growing interpersonally to develop that.
As you were describing that, I was thinking in my head, my glasses, my perspective glasses is a person. I have a friend of mine that I met when I first started college a couple years ago. She was my roommate. She's very, very positive. The worst things could happen to her, and she'd be like, "All right, well, get back up."
What are we going to do now? How are we going to handle it?
She's the craziest person I know, so I'm not going to.
Yes,
so I'm not going to say she's perfect, but she. This sounds weird, but she makes me. I love the way she acts so much. When I'm around her, I want to be better, and I want to think like her, and I want to be positive all the time.
That's awesome.
Because she's like that, and her energy is just so strong, and I see other people also probably have close to that experience. So, for me, I now know. As you're explaining that, I didn't realize that she was just the first person that came into my head, that maybe my glasses is another person. Someone I look up to. Maybe your glasses is your boss or your mom.
Well, you hear that in religious, they'll say, what's that bracelet they wear? The WW...
JD.
Yeah. What would Jesus do, right? Or what would so-and-so think? You find the mentor or the person that inspires you, that has just the most tremendous outlook in life, is always positive. You would tell yourself, how would they see it? how would they think? And technically, in my coaching practice, that's what my job is. And I tell my clients, your job is to try to figure out how I see it. It's not to agree with me, disagree with me, but go, Alex, I want to try. I hear what you're saying. It's hard for me to see it like that. But one day I'm going to see it like that, and I'm going to figure out how to keep shifting my perspective so I can see it like that, because the way that you see it from that version, from that point of view, is profound. It's positive, it's uplifting, it's inspiring, and more importantly, that perspective that you're choosing is empowering rather than disempowering me.
You know what? I know we have to go on a break, but I have a really good idea that I'm excited to share about. So I'm going to wait until after the break, though.
The dangle. You're dangling the carrot.
Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be right back. Stay tuned for more of My Conscious Dad right here on your hometown station, KHTS.